The certified letter arrived on a Tuesday. I had to sign for it, which should have been my first warning. David never sent anything that required a signature unless it was serious. The return address was a law firm in Charlotte I didn't recognize. My hands shook as I opened it in my car, still parked outside the post office in this small town in Kansas where nobody knew our real story. Inside were two things that changed everything. Adoption papers for our daughter Chloe, age 16, rescinding all parental rights, and a personal check for $50,000 with blood money written in the memo line. No note, no explanation needed. The message was clear. He was buying us out of his life. I sat there in my beat-up Toyota, the one I'd bought with cash after selling my wedding rings, and tried to remember how we got here. How a family that looked perfect from the outside had exploded so completely that a father would legally disown his own daughter. How I had not only destroyed my marriage, but also turned my own child into my accomplice and ruined her relationship with the only parent who actually deserved her. But I know exactly how we got here. Every lie, every choice, every time I made Chloe cover for me. It started 2 years ago, and it ended 6 months ago when David discovered the truth in the worst possible way. David and I had been married for 18 years, met in college at Duke, both pre-med, both ambitious, but life had other plans. I got pregnant senior year, and suddenly our carefully mapped futures had to make room for a baby. David adapted better than I did. He finished medical school while I dropped out to raise Chloe. He became a successful cardiologist. I became a successful cardiologist's wife. I don't say that with bitterness, not anymore. Back then, though, the resentment ate at me daily. Every time he came home from the hospital with stories about lives he'd saved, I'd think about the life I'd lost. Every medical journal that arrived with his name on published papers, I'd remember how my name was supposed to be there too. By the time Chloe was 14, I was 40 years old and invisible. David worked 60-hour weeks. Chloe was in high school, busy with friends and activities. I was alone in a 5-bedroom house in Charlotte's Myers Park neighborhood, wondering if this was all there was. That's when I met Nathan. He was teaching a spin class at the gym where all the doctors' wives worked out. 28 years old, pursuing his PhD in exercise science, built like someone who practiced what he preached. He noticed me. Not as David's wife or Chloe's mother, but as Lisa. Just Lisa. "You've got great form," he said after my 3rd class. "You could teach this if you wanted." I laughed. "I'm 40 years old." "So? You're in better shape than women half your age." It was nothing. A compliment from a trainer to a client. But when you've been invisible for years, being seen feels like everything. I started taking his class 3 times a week. Then he offered personal training sessions, then coffee after workouts, then texting, then meeting outside the gym, then meeting at his apartment. The first time I slept with Nathan, I told David I was at book club. It was such a cliché I almost laughed while saying it. But he believed me. Why wouldn't he? I'd been going to book club for years. I'd been the perfect wife for 18 years. The guilt should have stopped me. But the intoxication of being wanted, being touched, being alive again was stronger than guilt. Nathan made me feel 22 again. He looked at me like I was fascinating. He asked about my dreams, my abandoned medical career, my thoughts on things beyond grocery lists and PTA meetings. "You could go back," he said once, lying in his bed on a Tuesday afternoon. "Finish your degree. Become a doctor like you planned." "I'm 40 years old," I said again, my standard excuse. "You'll be 40 with or without the degree. Might as well be 40 with options." But I didn't want options. I wanted him. I wanted the escape he represented, the fantasy of being young and desired and free from the life I'd built and come to resent. The affair continued for months. I became an expert at deception. Gym clothes in the car, cash withdrawn in small amounts, a second phone hidden in my workout bag, perfume samples from Nordstrom to mask his cologne, lies flowing easier each time. Then Chloe caught me. It was a Thursday afternoon. She'd come home sick from school and I wasn't there. When I walked in at 4:30, fresh from Nathan's apartment, she was sitting at the kitchen island with my laptop open. "Your Facebook was logged in," she said, not looking up. "Nathan messaged something about missing you already and can't wait for Tuesday?" My blood froze. "Chloe, I can explain. You're cheating on Dad. Not a question, a statement. It's complicated, honey. Adult relationships are— Don't!" She finally looked at me, and the disappointment in her eyes was worse than any judgment. "Just don't." I should have ended it then. Confessed to David, begged forgiveness, fought for our marriage. Instead, I made a choice. I did the unthinkable. I turned my daughter into my accomplice. "Please don't tell your father," I begged. "It would destroy him, destroy our family." "You're destroying our family?" "I'm going to end it, I promise." "But please, Chloe, please." She was quiet for so long I thought she might run straight to David. Then, "I won't tell him." "But you have to stop." I promised I would. I lied. Instead, I got more careful. And worse, I started using Chloe as my alibi. "Chloe and I are going shopping," I'd tell David, then drop her at the mall with my credit card while I went to Nathan's. "Taking Chloe to get her nails done," I'd say, then leave her at the salon while I disappeared for 2 hours. "Mother-daughter movie date" became code for Chloe sitting alone in a theater while I was in Nathan's bed. Each time she'd look at me with those disappointed eyes. Each time I'd promise it was the last time. Each time I'd lie. The worst part was how it poisoned her relationship with David. When he'd ask about our girls' days, she'd have to lie too. When he'd comment on how close we'd become, spending so much time together, she'd force a smile that died behind her eyes. I remember one particular Sunday dinner that haunts me. David had made his famous lasagna, the one he'd learned from his Italian grandmother, the one he only made for special occasions. We were sitting at the dining room table, the good china out because David believed in making regular days special. "So what did my girls do yesterday?" he asked, serving Chloe an extra-large piece because she'd always loved his lasagna. I watched her freeze, fork halfway to her mouth. Saturday I'd supposedly taken her prom dress shopping. In reality, I'd left her at the mall with $500 while I spent 3 hours at Nathan's apartment. "Found the perfect dress," I said quickly, before she had to lie. "Navy blue, very elegant." "I can't wait to see it," David said, beaming at Chloe. "My little girl's first prom." "Can you believe it, Lisa? Seems like yesterday we were teaching her to walk." Chloe put down her fork. "May I be excused?" "You've barely touched your lasagna, sweetheart. Are you feeling okay?" "I'm fine," she said, but her voice cracked. "Just not hungry." David looked concerned, started to stand. "Let me check if you have a fever." "I said I'm fine." She pushed back from the table so hard her chair tipped. "God, why do you have to be so... "So what?" David asked, genuinely confused. "So good!" She exploded, tears streaming. "Why do you have to be so damn good all the time?" She ran from the room. David turned to me, bewildered. "What was that about?" "Teenage hormones," I said, the practiced lie smooth as silk. "I'll go talk to her." I found her in her room, sobbing into her pillow. When she heard me come in, she turned away. "He made that lasagna because he loves us," she said, voice muffled. "He worked 12 hours at the hospital yesterday, came home, and made lasagna from scratch because he wanted to do something special for his family. And we're lying to his face." "Chloe!" "Get out," she said. "Just get out." "I hate this," she told me once, after a particularly elaborate lie about a spa day. "I hate lying to Dad." "I hate you for making me lie to him." "I know, baby." "I'm sorry. Just a little longer." "You keep saying that." "I mean it this time." But I didn't. The truth was, I was addicted, not just to Nathan, but to the double life. To being Lisa, the bored housewife at home, and Lisa, the passionate lover with him. To the thrill of deception, the adrenaline of almost getting caught. Chloe grew more distant from both of us. Her grades slipped. She quit volleyball, claiming she wanted to focus on school, but I knew the truth. She couldn't stand being around either parent. With me, she had to be complicit in betrayal. With David, she had to pretend everything was fine. "What's going on with Chloe?" David asked one night. "She seems so unhappy lately." "She's 16, I said, the lie bitter on my tongue. "It's a tough age." "Maybe I should talk to her." "Take her to dinner, just the two of us." "No," I said too quickly, then covered. I think it's a girl thing." "Teenage stuff. I'm handling it." He looked at me strangely but let it go. David always let things go, trusting me to handle our daughter, our home, our life, while he saved lives at the hospital. For 6 more months, this continued. 6 months of lies, of using my daughter as cover, of watching her sink into depression and anger while I chased my selfish desires. 6 months of David working harder, trying to provide for a family that was rotting from the inside. Then came the day it all exploded. It was a Saturday in March. David was supposed to be at the hospital until evening. Chloe was at a friend's house, or so I thought. I'd told them both I was going to yoga, then lunch with friends. In reality, I was at Nathan's apartment, phone on silent, lost in our bubble of deception. What I didn't know was that David's surgery had been canceled, that he'd come home to surprise me, maybe take me to lunch, that he'd called Chloe to see if she wanted to join us. What I didn't know was that Chloe, exhausted by 6 months of lies, finally broke. "She's not at yoga, Dad," she said over the phone. "She's never at yoga." The rest came out in a flood. Nathan, the months of affairs, the lies, how I'd made her cover for me. How I'd turned her into a liar too. How she hated me for it but was too scared to tell him because she didn't want to break up our family. Later, Chloe would tell me exactly how that conversation went. How David had gone silent on the phone. How she could hear him breathing but not speaking for so long she thought he'd hung up. "Dad? Are you there?" "Where is she now, Chloe?" His voice was calm, too calm. "With him." "Nathan, the gym instructor. She's been seeing him since October." "And you've known?" "She made me lie for her. Every Saturday, every Tuesday, sometimes Thursdays. She'd drop me places and leave me while she went to him. I wanted to tell you so many times, but this isn't your fault, sweetheart. None of this is your fault. I should have told you sooner." "No. Your mother should have never put you in this position. Where are you now?" "At Emma's house." "Stay there. I'll handle this." David didn't call, didn't text, didn't storm over to Nathan's apartment for a confrontation. He did something worse. He went to a lawyer. While I was in Nathan's bed that Saturday afternoon, David was in a law office, setting in motion the complete destruction of our family. Not just divorce. That would have been too simple. David wanted annihilation. I came home at 4 to find the house different. Nothing obvious at first. Then I noticed things missing. David's office, usually cluttered with medical journals, was half empty. Our bedroom closet showed gaps where his clothes had been. The safe in our walk-in closet stood open and empty. When I finally got home, Chloe was waiting in the living room, her eyes red and swollen from crying. "What happened?" I asked. "Where's your father?" "He knows," she said simply. "I told him everything. You promised too!" She stood up, 16 years old and shaking with rage. "You promised to stop! You promised it was the last time. You've been promising for 6 months. I couldn't do it anymore." "Where is he?" "Gone. He packed his stuff and left. Said his lawyer would be in touch." "His lawyer? Chloe, what exactly did you tell him?" "Everything. Every lie. Every time you used me. Every time you left me somewhere while you went to him. Everything." I sank into a chair. "How could you? How could I? How could you? You made me lie to the only parent who actually gives a damn about me. You turned me into someone I hate. I look in the mirror and see a liar just like you. She ran to her room, slammed the door. I sat there, phone buzzing with missed calls and texts from Nathan, wondering how many I'd missed while my world ended. David's lawyer contacted me Monday. The terms were brutal but fair. He wanted the house sold immediately. Equal division of assets, shared custody of Chloe. No alimony despite my lack of income. I'd forfeited that right through infidelity. Clean, surgical, final, like everything David did. But the custody part was where things went nuclear. Chloe refused to see me. At first, I thought it was temporary teenage anger. But weeks passed, and she wouldn't speak to me. She stayed with David in his new apartment, wouldn't answer my calls, blocked me on social media. "She needs time," my lawyer said. "The court will enforce your custody time." But when the first mandated weekend came, Chloe was forced to come to the apartment I'd rented. She didn't speak to me the entire time. Sat in her room, door locked, eating only when I left food outside. Sunday night, she left without a word. The second weekend was worse. She came with a duffel bag and a look of pure hatred. "I know what you're going to say," she said before I could speak. "That you're sorry. That you love me. That you made mistakes, but you're still my mother. Chloe, do you want to know what Dad's doing right now?" she asked. "He's at home, probably looking at photo albums. He does that now. Goes through our family photos, trying to figure out when you stopped loving us. He told me he can see it now, in pictures from last year, how you're looking away from the camera, away from us, how your smile doesn't reach your eyes. I never stopped loving you. You loved Nathan more. That's not true." "Then why did you choose him?" Her voice broke. "Every single time you chose him. You know what Dad asked me? He asked if I thought you ever loved him. My father, who saves people's lives, who never missed one of my games, who learned to braid hair from YouTube so he could do mine for dance recitals. He asked his 16-year-old daughter if she thought his wife ever loved him." How am I supposed to answer that? What did you tell him? The truth. That I don't know. That the mom I thought I knew wouldn't have done this. That maybe we never really knew you at all. I used to think Dad was boring. Always at work, always tired, never fun like you. But you know what? He never made me lie. He never used me. He never made me an accomplice to betraying someone I love. I never meant, yes, you did. You meant every bit of it. You chose him over us every single time. And you made me help you do it. That weekend, she didn't eat at all. By Sunday, I was so worried I called David. "She won't eat," I said. "She won't talk. I'm worried about her." "She's fine when she's with me," he said, voice cold. "Maybe ask yourself why." The court-mandated therapy didn't help. Chloe sat in silence while the therapist tried to facilitate communication. She'd fulfilled the requirement by being physically present, nothing more. After 3 months of forced visits, Chloe made her move. She petitioned the court to terminate my parental rights. At 16, her voice carried weight. She testified about the emotional damage of being forced to lie, the anxiety that plagued her, the betrayal of a mother using her daughter to facilitate an affair. "I don't feel safe with her emotionally," she told the judge. "She taught me that lying is acceptable if you want something badly enough. She showed me that marriage vows mean nothing. She demonstrated that a mother will sacrifice her child's well-being for her own pleasure. I don't want that influence in my life." David supported her petition, not out of spite, but out of love for our daughter. He saw what the forced visits were doing to her, saw her grades improve when she didn't have to see me, saw her smile return when she wasn't being pulled between parents. My lawyer fought it, but what defense did I have? Every word Chloe said was true. I had used her. I had made her lie. I had put my selfish desires above her well-being. The judge didn't terminate my rights. That's nearly impossible without abuse or abandonment. But he did modify custody. Chloe could choose whether to see me. Spoiler, she chose not to. That was when David sent the final papers, a form for the voluntary relinquishment of my parental rights. One signature would legally sever my connection to Chloe, making David her sole legal parent forever. And the check, $50,000 from Chloe's college fund. "Cash it or don't," his note said. "But sign the papers." Let her go. It's the first selfless thing you can do for her. I've been staring at these papers for 3 days, living in this small Kansas town where I fled to escape the shame. Working as a receptionist at a medical clinic, the closest I'll get to the medical career I abandoned. Eating dinner alone every night, scrolling through social media for glimpses of the daughter who hates me. Nathan lasted exactly 2 weeks after David left. Once the excitement of sneaking around was gone, once I was just another divorced 40-something with baggage, he lost interest. Moved on to another bored wife at the gym, I heard. Someone else's family to destroy. The house sold quickly. Beautiful homes in Myers Park always do. After the mortgage and lawyers, I walked away with enough to start over, but not enough to maintain the life I'd grown accustomed to. Hence Kansas, where the cost of living is low, and nobody knows that I'm the mother who turned her daughter into a liar. David remarried last month, a pediatric surgeon from his hospital. 35, never married, no kids of her own. Chloe was her maid of honor. The pictures on Instagram show them laughing, embracing, already looking like family. The caption on one photo, "Blessed to gain not just a husband, but the daughter I always dreamed of." Chloe commented, "Lucky to have a mom who values honesty and family." Mom. She calls another woman mom. The wedding looked perfect. Small, intimate, in the botanical gardens where David had proposed to me 20 years ago. He'd recycled the venue, but not the mistakes. In one photo, he's dancing with Chloe, both of them laughing. She's wearing a pale pink bridesmaid dress, her favorite color, something I should have remembered but forgot in the chaos of my double life. In another, the three of them are doing a sand ceremony, pouring different colored sand into a vase. Unity, family, everything I destroyed. David's sister posted a video of the father-daughter dance. Not to be cruel, she'd blocked me long ago and didn't know I could see it from my fake account. In it, David tells the room how proud he is of Chloe, how she's the strongest person he knows, how she saved his life by telling him the truth even when it hurt. The camera catches Chloe wiping away tears, the good kind, the kind that come from being seen and valued and protected. I've watched that video 100 times, each time hoping to see something different, some sign of sadness about my absence, some hole in their perfect picture where I used to fit. There isn't one. They've healed around my absence like skin around a properly removed splinter, cleanly, completely, without a scar. I've written Chloe letters, hundreds of them. They are apologies that run for pages, desperate attempts to explain the unexplainable. I try to describe how a grown woman could be so selfish, how a mother could use her daughter so carelessly, how I convinced myself that what I was doing wasn't really harmful and that she'd understand when she was older. How everyone lies sometimes. The letters come back unopened. Return to sender, no such person at this address, because that's what I've become. No such person, not a wife, not a mother, not a doctor, just a 42-year-old receptionist in Kansas with a Toyota that needs new tires and an apartment that smells like the previous tenant's cats. The adoption papers sit on my kitchen table next to a pen and the $50,000 check. Sign them, and I officially become what I've already proven myself to be. Not Chloe's mother. Cash the check, and I can maybe go back to school, finally pursue that medical degree I abandoned. But what kind of doctor would I make? Someone who took an oath to do no harm after causing so much of it? Someone who promised to put others' well-being first after putting my own desires above my daughter's mental health? My phone rings. Unknown number. For a second, my heart leaps. Maybe it's Chloe. Maybe she's ready to talk. Maybe there's hope. Hello? Lisa? This is Patricia from Dr. Morrison's office. Just confirming you're cleaning for tomorrow at 2? Just the dentist. Of course. Chloe doesn't have my new number. Doesn't want it. Yes, I say. I'll be there. Great. And Lisa, the doctor wanted me to remind you that your insurance only covers basic cleaning. If you need additional work, you'll have to pay out of pocket. I understand. Everything out of pocket now. Every cost mine to bear. As it should be, I suppose. You break it, you buy it. I broke my family, and now I'm paying for it in ways I never imagined. I hang up and look again at the papers. Tomorrow, I'll probably sign them. Give Chloe the freedom to have the family she deserves, the mother who puts her first, the life unburdened by my shadow. It's the least I can do, the only thing I can do. David was right. It would be the first selfless thing I've done for her in years. Some women have affairs and keep their families. Some have affairs and lose their husbands but keep their children. I had an affair and lost everything because I didn't just betray my husband. I corrupted my daughter, made her an accomplice, taught her that love means covering for someone's sins. The check mocks me from the table. Blood money, David called it. The price of a daughter. 30 pieces of silver adjusted for inflation. Take it and disappear. Take it and let them heal without you. Take it and admit what you've become. A cautionary tale whispered about at Charlotte garden parties. Did you hear about Lisa? Used her own daughter to cover her affair. Can you imagine? Yes. I can imagine. I lived it. I chose it. Every day for 6 months, I chose Nathan over Chloe, lies over truth, selfish pleasure over my daughter's well-being. Now I'm choosing again. Sign the papers. Let her go. Disappear into this Kansas obscurity and try to build something from the ashes of who I used to be. My pen hovers over the signature line. Once I sign, it's over. No more pretending I might reconcile with Chloe someday. No more hoping she'll understand when she's older. No more lying to myself that I'm still her mother in any way that matters. I sign my name, clear and firm. The same signature that once promised to love and honor David. The same signature that signed permission. Slips for Chloe's field trips. Now signing her away to a better life without me. The check goes in my wallet. Monday, I'll deposit it. Use it to pay for the classes I need to finally finish that medical degree. Become Dr. Lisa Marshall, 20 years later than planned. Save lives to balance the ones I destroyed. Help families since I couldn't help my own. It's not redemption. There is no redemption for what I did. It's just moving forward because standing still hurts too much. Tomorrow, Chloe will wake up in Charlotte with her father and new mother. She'll go to school, laugh with friends, make plans for college. She'll be free of court-mandated visits to a woman who taught her that love and lies can coexist. And I'll wake up in Kansas, alone, but not lying to anyone anymore. No husband to deceive, no daughter to corrupt. No Nathan to pretend means more than an escape from reality. Just me and the consequences of my choices, lived out one day at a time in a place where nobody knows my name. Some stories end with forgiveness. Mine ends with freedom. Chloe's freedom from me. It's the closest thing to love I can give her now. The papers are signed, the check is ready to deposit, the chapter is closed. Time to start the next one, whatever it might be, alone as I deserve. But honest, finally, about who I am, about what I've done, about the price of using love as a cover for betrayal. $50,000 and a daughter. That's what my affair cost in the end. I'd pay it again, every time, if it means she's free.